in recovery from a gambling addiction, and we're going to be taking your questions about gambling addiction. So if you're watching live, welcome. If you're watching on the replay, hello from the past. Adam, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Rob. Thanks for having me, bud.
Of course, of course. Let me get us set up over on YouTube, and I'll let you know if anything rolls in the meantime. But I'm seeing, here it is. I can change the thumbnail now. It was actually my banner that got put up, so it says one day at a time. Kind of, that's not bad. It could have been way worse. And there's your good tag. Okay, now we are officially ready to roll. So I should see messages coming in through the live stream chat. Let me test that as well, because we could just be talking to no one, which would be messed up. No, there we go. They're coming through. We got someone. Let me see what it looks like. Hello, gentlemen. You see that all right?
Jazzy Jeff, what's up?
There we go. Okay. Yes. So welcome, everybody. Adam and I are going to be taking questions live about gambling, gambling addiction, addiction recovery. Yes, we got some people joining the chat. And it looks like it's defaulting to about 10 seconds to put a message up. So we got 10 seconds to read it, Adam.
Okay.
For those that haven't seen one of your couple videos on my channel or haven't seen your channel yet, like tell everyone about yourself.
Yeah, no, my name's Adam. I'm a compulsive gambler in recovery. My last bet was February 8th, 2022. I gambled from the age of 18 to 38. It's kind of in 3 stages. First stage was the poker boom, playing poker. Didn't lose a lot of money, but lost a lot of time. Then I started losing a lot of money, cash advanced a bunch of credit cards, declared bankruptcy before I was 30. And then from there, I wanted to get out of Dodge, wanted to get out of my hometown. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. And then for the next 10 years, I lived in 6 different cities, had 20 different jobs, 12 different addresses. I've started committing illegal acts to fund my gambling, borrowing from people. And that's like the 30-second version of my 30-hour story. But yeah, and then I went to GA, my first meeting, February 8th, 2022, and haven't looked back since. Just, after 20 years, I think I was ready. So grateful that I was. And I've just been kind of diving into the 12 steps and to just recovery in general, and started the podcast almost a year ago now. It's going pretty well. Meeting amazing people like Rob and Christina from Broke Girl. And yeah, we're just kind of off and running.
I love it, man. Thanks for running through that with everyone. We're starting to get some questions rolling in, but guys, as we're talking today, check the description of this video to see a link to Adam's page. Make sure you're checking him out. He's got some great stuff over there, and not just the one that I was in. I think they're all pretty good. But let's see. We got one, and with these questions, we'll take some liberties as to what it's saying. But what were some of the enticements when you would go to casinos that would keep you going back?
Yeah, so I mean, I was I was the high roller, but I wasn't. Where I wouldn't be getting the $500 free plays, but for the last 10 years of my gambling, I never paid for a hotel room ever anywhere. So the biggest thing that they did for me was the free rooms, no matter where I was in the country, Caesars properties specifically. I would say the free rooms, and they gave me just enough free play to get me to go, right? Just enough, the diamond lounges with the free food and the free booze, that's pretty much for me. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, if it was the Caesars properties for you, then you might have had this one too. But the trip to Atlantis is really what made me feel like a big shot. When I was 18, my friend for a graduation party in high school took this big group of people. They own a very successful bakery, so they took us to this resort, Atlantis in the Bahamas, and I was like, this is the best place ever. It was the first time I gambled in a casino. I was like on cloud 9. And so a couple years later, when they say, hey, you gambled enough, you get a free trip to the Bahamas, I'm like, oh my God, this is the best. I was like, I gotta go right now. So it was the same idea of the free hotels and the free stuff. But, guys, it's all just a trap to get you to go back in, right?
Totally.
They're not giving you something because they like you. They're giving you something because it's an investment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we got lots of comments coming in. Again, feel free to ask any questions you have about gambling, gambling addiction, addiction recovery. Adam and I are going to be here answering them to the best of our ability. We got some shout outs coming in. We got Addicted Recovery in the chat saying hello. Happy to see you, my friend. Yep.
I can't wait to watch that interview, Daniel. You and that guy. Holy cow! What a get.
Let's see. And let's see. Sadly enough, cooled off because self-exclusion would mean if I ever went to a casino in my hometown and won a jackpot, you'd be screwed. Yes, that's exactly what it means. If you self-exclude from a casino and go back and gamble, that money will indeed get confiscated. But that's kind of the point. Adam, did you self-exclude?
I did. 2016, I self-excluded from Foxwoods and Mohegan, two casinos in Connecticut. And for me, I was actually just talking to someone. Shout out to Jody Neely on the
Mhm.
Massachusetts Council for Gaming and Health. I was telling her how I'm really not a self-exclusion guy, and it's only based on my experience because for me, I self-excluded from those casinos, and I thought like, okay, I can't gamble anymore. But the disease finds a way, right? I just started playing more Keno. I started scratching scratch tickets, and I started just traveling farther and farther to go to a casino. I was going to Rhode Island casinos. I was going to casinos in upstate New York, and then that's actually part of the reason why I moved to Vegas because I wanted to be able to gamble, and I did a 5 year. So I from 2016 to 2021, I couldn't go to Fox's or Mohegan.
I think mine's a 5 year too. I don't remember because I'm still on it, so it must be a 5 year.
Yeah.
Unless there was like a 3 year, in which case that might be coming up. But
Hmm.
I think it's a good step. Remember, guys, we're not gonna say like a self exclusion is a one stop shop to fix all your problems. But what it does is it adds friction, right? It does make it so that if you were to go back and win a jackpot, it gets confiscated. It's like trying to strip away the reasons to go back, and it's just a big part of that puzzle.
Yeah, and honestly too, like there are some people out there who it's just casinos for them, right? Like they don't like
Mhm.
just like for me, I could give. Can we swear on this?
Oh yeah.
I could give a shit about blackjack, right? I wasn't a blackjack player. I was a craps
Mhm.
player. I was a poker player. So, but the problem for me is that I did play a lot of Keno. I did play a lot of scratch tickets growing up. So, like, but if you're just a casino player, if the casino is really the reason that you keep gambling, self
Mhm.
exclusion is definitely a good option.
Yeah, let us know in the chat what kind of gambling you guys do because I think like my guess is that a lot of people here are going to be online just simply because we're online. So
Right.
maybe like they're just tech enabled, but yeah, let us know in the comments what kind of gambling you do so that we can kind of better advise and better have the extra context in mind when we're answering. Let's see, this is a good one. I'm 37, compulsive gambler of 20 years. I've only recently decided to quit gambling for good. How long will it take me to recover?
Mm,
Interesting question. And
love it, Jazzy
interesting.
Jeff.
Let's answer it a couple of different ways. So
Yeah.
first, how long is it going to take them to financially recover?
So, you know, I'm a I'm a transparency guy, Jazzy Jeff. I was 38, right? I did it for 20 years. When the dust settled, I owed a lot of money to the government because I didn't pay my taxes for a while. I owed a lot of money on the street. I owed a lot of money to credit cards and stuff. And I'm 3 years and 7 months into recovery, and I'm probably halfway there, you know. But for me, don't look at the money, right? Don't, I mean, I know it's hard to say that right now as you're staring down, but for me, it's like 3 years and 7 months. Even though it seems like a lifetime ago, it also seems like it was yesterday. And if you start doing the right thing and you stop gambling, it's amazing how quickly you can start paying off that debt.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think the other side of the coin is like when I get a comment like that, I know that there's this underlying idea of like, okay, when am I going to be recovered to the point that I can gamble again or be go back to a normal way of gambling?
Mm.
And the group that Adam and I are both affiliated with or both attend meetings for will tell you never. Never is the answer. But when we say never, we're not saying like your life's going to be terrible forever, you're never going to be happy again. It's just that if we as gambling addicts go back to gambling, even after it's been years, we're just going to pick up right where we left it off.
Oh,
And
for
I can
sure.
remember, I mean, Adam, you said your last bet date's February 8th, 22. That was my original last bet date. And then 9 months later or 10 months later, I went back and I gambled more. And when I went back and gambled more, I put myself into debt for 6 months in one day.
Mm.
And so it's not like I went back to a healthier, normal way. It's just doesn't happen.
Hmm.
Now, remember, guys, if you haven't yet checked out Adam's page, he is linked in the description of this video. Make sure that you're checking him out either during or after. You can always come back. We're going to be live for a good amount of time right here. It's also up there. It's perfect. I remember I used to have a whiteboard like that when I went on TikTok, man. It works. It works. People see it.
Modern meeting, baby.
Of course. Now, Let me look here. We got a good amount of questions coming in. What are the best things? Okay. What's the best thing to do after a few days when you have money again and feel like let's try again and give it one more time? Hate that feeling and ended up relapsing when that is the case. So what do you do when you're back to like a comfortable position financially, but you've told yourself I'm never gambling again? You got any tips there, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, great question, Mandeep. And I will say that for the 20 years that I was gambling, there was plenty of times when I did that, right? When I stopped for a short period of time and I thought, okay, like I'm done. But then you get that itch, you get that money. Even when I declared bankruptcy, right? I didn't gamble for a few months because I was ashamed. Like I couldn't believe it. I was, like even though it's nature's do-over, shout out Creed Bratton, like it was still very shameful and I felt awful. But you get that itch. What it took me 20 years to realize, and now that I realize in recovery, is that for me, no matter how much money I have, no matter how much I win, it's all
Mhm.
going back. So it's not about like there's no ifs for me. It's a certainty for me in gambling. I could win $1 million. It might take a while, but it's going all back and then
Yeah.
some. So that's the thing that keeps me away from a bet. Like just watching the Patriots today. Shout out Patriots. Awesome game. There were little moments, not urges. I don't get urges, but I get little moments of like just kind of nostalgic moments and stuff running through my head. And then all I gotta do is go 3 or 4 steps down the road, and I know that, like, I win a couple bets, but then I lose a bet, then I get a bad beat, and then I'm at the casino. And
Yeah.
then all bets are off, pun intended? So, for me, there was a lot of times where once I got the money, once things started going well, I always self-sabotaged, right? I don't do that as
Mhm.
much now in recovery.
Yeah. I think that for me also it's like kind of getting at the same point as you. We have to see the tape through. We have to see what happens next.
Yeah.
You could go right now, you could place a sports bet, you could win, maybe not $1 million, but you can go you could go win a bet. But the problem is that after you win, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to say like, "Ah, man, like that felt bad. Like let me get back into recovery, but you know what? My recovery starts tomorrow, so I can put a few more bets in before that." And all of a sudden you wake up 2 weeks later and you're in a crazy gambling binge. Or, you just go, "Well, that was easy. I liked that again. Maybe it'll be different this time." And you just go and you keep going and going. But as we place more bets, we get closer to the reality statistically. And
Mhm.
so you have to remember it's not about the first bet, it's about what the first bet brings. Anyone could go out, win a bet right now. But if you're a compulsive gambler, it's only a matter of time until that win becomes a future loss. And so that's
What
what
he
I would say.
what he said, yeah.
Let's see. This is an interesting one. What would you say to people who feel like they need to gamble to be able to afford to survive or pay back their debts? The feeling of I have to keep gambling as I have no other options. And I think this is actually a big one, especially for younger people that, like, say you've worked yourself into a position where you owe 6 months, 7 months of your salary. Well, the idea that it would take 6 or 7 months to pay it off is like, no way. No, I couldn't survive that long. I'm so used to money coming in like that. I have to keep going. It's the only way out. And I think it's kind of a self-fulfilling trap. But do you have any like words of wisdom for someone in that mindset?
This is an easy one, Fred. I would say to that person, first of all, I did it 100 times. I thought that way 100 times. But if you just stopped, and even if you were on the smallest payment plan possible, in those 6 months, right, or those 3 months that you're just trying to make it up, you're going to lose more gambling and be in even a bigger hole rather than if you just stopped and paid 50 bucks a week, 25 bucks a week, whatever it was. That, you know, because for me, quick little story. If for those of you who haven't been to the modern meeting or listened to my story, I walked around with on my phone with a list of people that I owed money to. In 2018, I owed $12,000 to 10 different friends and family and coworkers. I then had the craps roll of my life and I turned 150 bucks into 15,000 in 20 minutes and I paid everybody off. And guess what? 6 months later, I had a new list and I owed even more money. So I mean, it's putting a Band-Aid on a what's that saying? I mean, it's that
Yeah,
this boat is leaking, baby. And it's like it doesn't matter. Like the only answer is to stop gambling
yeah.
because
I think
over time it's, yeah,
I think a good comparison is also like debt consolidation.
for
It's like
sure.
if you go and you get that big swing and it makes you your money back, like you think you've solved the problem, but you've not solved the problem. You've solved kind of like the result of the problem for
Mm,
now. So if you're not fixing the root cause, it's only a matter of time, as you just mentioned, until something similar happens, if not worse. And so this mindset of like I have to get it all back, we're thinking we need one big swing to fix all these problems, but it's the actual only way to continue making sure more problems come along. Now, before I throw another question up there, I want to say if you're in the audience right now, I think there's about 35 or 40 of you in the audience. If you could do us the favor of just leaving a like on this video, it should actually push this stream out to more people. And when more people pop in, hopefully we get more questions. Adam and I were talking about going for maybe like 90 minutes today. So if you're just kind of bored on this Sunday, thanks for joining us and we'll take any questions that you might have. But that's the number one way you could kind of support us and get this message out there a little bit wider. Now, we have Daniel left this comment for us. How do we accept that we can never gamble again? We've kind of alluded to it, but was there like a specific moment that you realized, like, yeah, I can't do this again? Because I think I have one of those.
yeah, and I promise you guys in the chat that this is not uh I'm not getting paid to say this or this is not an advertisement, but it was the moment I set foot in my first Gamblers Anonymous meeting. And when I read that yellow book for the first time, and when I met people, young, old, you know, uh, from all over, right?
Mm.
When I walked into my first GA meeting and I looked at 25 different people from all different spots in life, and they all had the same problem I did. And then they shared their stories. I shared my story. I walked around thinking that I was the only one who ever, sat in an Atlantic City parking lot at midnight waiting for my direct deposit to come in so I could overdraft it and go gamble before my bills came out. But five different people in that room told me, and just the literature just talking about how it's a disease. Like what like this is not all the awful stuff that we did. It wasn't us. It was the disease was running the show for me, right? And so that was honestly the moment that first night, February 2022. I always say, I walked in at 7 o'clock. By 7:15, I completed step one. I surrendered. I realized that my life was unmanageable as long as I continued to gamble. What about you?
I definitely had a pretty strong experience the first time I went to a meeting, but I think that I came to my solution about 9 months after that, when I kind of reproved everything that we had been talking about. So
Mm,
on February 8th, I went to my first meeting as well in New Jersey. And for a while, I was clean and I was working through the steps and I felt good about it, but I was really just kind of missing a purpose. And without that piece, it was a vital piece of my recovery. It just wasn't coming together. And so the day that I made my last bet now, November the 12th, 22, that's where I had that experience that was like, yeah, I'm never doing this again. And it was
mm,
when I had accidentally dropped all the cash that I had on the floor of the casino. And it was basically cash advances. So with the fees, it was, more than I could pay back at this point. I'd still be in debt, like if I had deposited everything right at that
yeah.
moment. And dropping that money on the floor and like freaking out that I was going to get robbed, that I had left some, like, I thought that would do it, but what actually did it was the thought that followed, and it was, you should let it just stay on the floor, because if you leave it on the floor, someone else might leave with it, but if you pick it up, you're going to keep going until it's all gone anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thought was just like, there is no point to this anymore, and that's when it really, really did change for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to look for another question. Remember, guys, if you have any questions about gambling, gambling addiction, or addiction recovery, feel free to drop them in the chat. Adam and I are going to do our best to get to as many of them as possible. We're running about 5 minutes behind on them, which is a good thing rather than a bad thing. It's not as fast as TikTok, which that's exhausting. But let's see. Let's phrase this into a question. So, been to jail for gambling, stopped for years. Then 4 years ago, I gradually started again, had to claim bankruptcy. Didn't help because I'm gambling my paycheck again weekly. Phrasing this as a question, things were bad in the past. things are continuing to be bad, and I feel like I'm kind of on this endless roller coaster. What's the first thing that I can do to start to get help?
Yeah, I mean, first thing you do, in my opinion, is you tell someone, right? You take that weight you've been carrying around
Mm,
and you tell someone, preferably, you know, an unbiased person. Like actually, I don't know. Maybe you tell your spouse, maybe you tell your parent, maybe, but you tell someone, let it
mm,
all out, right? Tell everybody everything. That's the first step. And for me, I used my gambling as I was so far gone and fucked up that I used my gambling to manipulate people. So like the last 5 years of my gambling, I was telling everybody that I was trying to borrow money from that I needed help. I was going to GA, but I got to pay my rent, which was a lie. I was sitting in a chair at a slot machine, right? Um, so, but yeah, like if you're in that spot and you just feel like there's no way out, start with telling someone, and then
mm,
the second thing I think is like calling one of these hotlines and getting referred to what you got to figure out like what do you want to do, right? If you want to stop, there's 5 or 6 different pathways to start, whether it's one-on-one like clinician, or whether it's talking to a peer counselor, whether it's going to a GA meeting, whether it's going to a Zoom meeting. Shout out to the Modern Meeting Mondays at 8 p.m.
mm,
on Zoom. You know, trying something. But yeah, first thing you do, you got to get it all out. You got to talk to somebody. You got to tell somebody everything.
yeah. I just admittedly also just figured out how to keep the messages on where they don't disappear after 20 seconds. So it only
Oh,
took me
nice.
22 minutes to learn how to do that. That's great. Yeah, I think I feel pretty much the same way for first steps. But if you're someone that like needs that like absolute like barriers in place right away to kind of put out the fire before you start to do the work, you can also like turn over control of finances alongside doing that. Like get rid of your ammunition essentially while you're working through those first couple of steps.
Great point. Great point.
I saw I saw this come in here, and my first instinct was to ignore it, but I think we should talk about it. So I've noticed that these gambling awareness videos trigger my itch to gamble. Any gambling content in general plants the seed in my mind. Now, when I've gone to like conferences in the past and stuff, people are like, you're putting gambling imagery in your videos. People are going to want to gamble when they see it. I want to talk about this point because if you're someone that's getting triggered when you hear people telling gambling addiction stories, it's my opinion, but I don't think you should be online at all because with what we have right now, and that's not to say like, I'm right, you're wrong. That's not the case at all. It's that we have constant gambling advertising. We have constant content about gambling, constant promotion. If even the things telling you not to do it are making you want to gamble, it should be a clear sign that you need some headspace. You need to log off. You need to make sure you're not going down these paths where you're going to really run into a lot of temptation. Do you think I'm off base there?
No, and I'm gonna go a step further. Like, Greg, you know, love you, bud, but that to me that's just kind of a cop out. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
And once again, I lean towards the tough love when people talk to me about gambling, which is why I try to tread really lightly. But you know, that what I just read on Greg's comment, that
mhm,
reminded me of the way I used to talk and think when I was in active
mm,
addiction. And so, you know what I mean? Like it's just we're always pointing the finger at someone else. And
mm,
you know, in this moment, Greg might truly feel that way. But I'm gonna venture a guess is that it's the disease giving Greg that justification.
mm.
Because that's what happened to me all the time. Right? Like
Yeah.
driving to that meeting, February 8th, 2022, after going on that 36-hour binge where I lost thousands 6 days prior, and
Mm,
I had the spiritual awakening, and I was heading to my first meeting. Driving to that meeting, I was talking to my buddy who came with me for support. Yeah, maybe I'm going to this meeting. I know I'm going, but like, I think I'm just depressed. Like, I probably just need to
mm,
get on antidepressant. Even to the last moment, the disease was still working me, trying to get me to blame anything besides gambling.
mm.
You know?
That's deep, man. And another thing like that kind of goes along with that is like now that I think back, I was always looking for signs where they didn't exist. I'm like, oh man, if like the next letter I see is a vowel, I'll bet. Like I said some crazy shit like that. But it was always just like, how can I pass off control? How can I pass off accountability? And that was always the way. I was like, oh, well, you know what? I wasn't going to gamble today, but I saw a video talking about gambling addiction. So I started gambling. Um, that's
No,
something I would have done too.
yeah, and like, the other thing, what you just reminded me of is like, how many times did I have that last hurrah, right?
Mm.
I'm stopping Monday, just like my diets, right? My diets and my gambling. Like I was always gonna, diet starts Monday. I'm
Mm.
going to GA on Monday, and you're just lying to yourself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to the guy that left that comment, I hope that you're able to get offline and hopefully like this stuff doesn't actually trigger you. Of course, that's not what we want,
For
but
sure,
it's an interesting conversation to have.
definitely.
Um, Randall asked this: do we find any form of gambling to be more tempting or addicting than others? Um, I'll start this because there's actually one that I still like. I wouldn't say I like actively struggle with it every day, but it's one that like I still have a hard time shaking off, and it's options trading.
Ooh.
I know for a fact if I gamble in a casino, if I gamble on a sports book, I am supposed to lose money. I know that even in a poker room, I'm going to lose money. If I just sit there and keep playing, it's eventually going to happen. With options, I really struggle because the way I was doing it is 100% gambling, but it's one of the easiest things to justify. Well, it's more highbrow, it's like data analysis, it's trends, there's things that are actually true about the stock market. But I know as a compulsive gambler, if I go and trade options, I'm going to be buying the craziest shit. It's going to swing 500% in 10 seconds, and it's either going to bankrupt me or make me momentarily feel like I know what I'm doing. Um, so I'd still say I struggle with that the most because it's the only one that I know of that's not inherently rigged, but I'm not going to make money doing
Yeah, I mean, Randall, how much time do you have? But yeah, I no, for me, so I was gonna say craps was the most addicting, which I think it was, but
it. Mm,
what I realized is that the most addicting was the ones that I won at the most, right?
mm,
Um, so for me, it was craps and Keno slots.
mm,
Those were the two things that I could not stop. Like I only play. I honestly like in my 20 years, like I probably played blackjack like 5% of the time, maybe less.
mm,
Roulette, not a lot. But because I had those big craps rolls. Now, once again, I say winning. I won 1 out of 30 rolls. Okay,
right.
and for slots, like you know, uh, did you know? Fun fact: 4 out of 4 in Keno, it only happens like 1 out of every 350 games, right?
Mm,
And you think it's so easy to hit 4 out of 4. It's not. But when you're sitting there playing on a
yeah.
slot, 25 cents a pull, and you're playing 2,000 games in a night, and you hit 4 out of 4 3 or 4 times, you're like, oh, I hit 3 or 4 times tonight. Well, yeah, because you played
Mm.
2,000 games, idiot. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, for me, those, yeah, I think too, because I was always such an I was such an isolation when I gambled. Craps, when it was a good table, a hot table, everyone's cheering, people are tipping the shooter, high fiving. That just added to that dopamine rush for me.
Yeah. There's like a communal sense at a
Mm.
craps table. Listen, I mean, we could easily say like gambling is the devil and everything's horrible about it. There's lots of really fun aspects of it. I think that it's been weaponized by gambling companies, and that's why it's becoming an issue. But in itself, it was fun, which leads to why we should talk about this comment that I just lost. Why can we not just do this? Why can we not just look at gambling as a form of entertainment? Stop trying to go into the casino thinking it's going to pay our bills, solve our problems, and make us rich. Um, okay, so Adam, I've proven to you statistically that you're going to lose money gambling. I've told you that you're not going to get rich. You've seen that you're not going to get rich. You have gambling debt. Um, if you go into a casino, are you going to think it's entertainment?
Oh, big guns, big guns. I mean, from one big guns to another big guns, brother. It's out of our control,
Mm,
right? Like I want to do that. Of course, I want to do that. I can't. I physically can't. Shout out to Daniel. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but like an alcoholic, when they have that first drink, it sends something through them, and then next thing you know, they've had 50. That's the
mm,
same thing with one bet for me. One throw of the dice, one touch of that slot machine. Once I do it, I can't stop. And it's not willpower. I know that's what you're going to say next. It's not
mm.
willpower. It's a disease. It's a Rob's better at this stuff than me, so I'll let him finish it off. But it's it's something in my brain. It's something that is in my DNA. My uncle hit $100,000 on a scratch ticket twice in his life, and when he died, he left his family with nothing. He was a
Mhm.
compulsive gambler. I have a lot of people on my mom's side of the family like struggled with gambling. It's a thing. It's not just I'm not choosing to do this. I'm not
Mhm.
choosing to go in and lose my paycheck.
I think if you don't have an understanding of the fact that it is addictive in its nature, um, it might just feel like someone who's addicted to gambling is stupid.
Yeah.
Because, like, logically, I already know this. I know that I'm going to lose money if I keep playing. I know that I'm supposed to. But there's the other part of me that, one, thinks that I can prove that wrong, that I'm smart enough, that I can figure out the ways to beat the system. That's what we see with all these sports betting scammers online claiming that they figured it out. And then the other part of it's just like, I don't give a shit. I love this. This is what I love doing. It makes me feel excited. It gives me a thrill. It gives me that hit in my brain that I know it's not particularly good for me, but it's what I'm going to keep doing.
Mhm.
And so it is really hard to build empathy as well for problem gamblers because of this fact. It's like, why don't you just stop? Well, our brains change and they become wired to think that gambling more will solve the problems. That's not a cop out. We just know that that's how our brains have morphed, and we know we need to stay away. Now we're a couple minutes behind on questions, so I see that you guys are still asking them. I have just one favor to ask from you if you haven't yet done so. If this is your first time seeing either of us, then check out the rest of our pages. And if you see something that you like, hit that subscribe button. Adam and I both work really hard to try to spread this message, and that's really one of the best ways that you can support us. Um, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, definitely, I'm going to guess for you as well, but we don't want any money. We don't want any like payment for what we're doing. We just want you guys to support the message. And if you like the video, just hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. That's the best way you can support. Now, let's see where we're at with questions. And if we missed your question, please just re-ask it. I'm going to do my best to get back to you. Okay. There's a lot of comments. I don't know. Are you seeing them as well on the? I think
Ye
you're on the channel.
Yeah, I'm on my phone.
This will be a good one. Man, Deep's hitting us with some good questions. What do you think when your most of your friend circle are gamblers and you're trying to quit, but when you talk with them, you always have the same gambling conversation. You go back, how to stop. Um,
Mm,
you want
great
to take this one?
question. Yes, Mandeep, great question. So, unfortunately, you know, when we decide, when we surrender, when we want to stop gambling, that unfortunately means that we need to potentially cut ties with people, places, things in our lives that trigger us or that don't support it. I don't think your friend, I'm sure if your friends knew, first of all, that's the other thing too. You can avoid that by
Yeah.
being honest, right? If your friends know, maybe they're not gonna, but if they know that you're trying to stop and they still are trying to, have these conversations with you, unfortunately, Mandeep, they're not your friends, right? And it's
Mhm.
that was tough for me. The first thing I did was, I unsubscribed to a million YouTube channels I followed. I deleted Twitter. I followed a million poker players on Instagram,
Mhm.
and yeah, I had to walk away from certain people in my life that, um, you know, a lot of what we did was gambling related. And guess what? The ones that the friendship was deeper than that, they came back around,
Mhm.
and I think that's like it's honestly like it's a good life lesson too, because at the end of the day, like if you're trying to better yourself, your true friends that care about you are gonna back you. And if they
Yeah.
don't, they're not your friends.
Mhm. So often when that question's asked, though, like they haven't told their friends that they have a
For
problem.
sure. Yeah,
Like, I think that's like you hit the nail on the head with that being the first step. But if that is the case, that's 100%. Those just aren't good people. They're not good friends. But you can't really call them bad friends or bad people without if they have no idea that there's a problem, right? Like my
for
friends and I
sure.
loved to gamble together. When I told them I had a problem, they're like, "Oh, okay." But before that, they were gonna talk to me about gambling. It's
Mhm.
just it's really easy to hide this problem. So they probably have no idea, Mandeep, that you could be having a problem. I would recommend telling them. Let's see. We got a couple nice comments that came in. Someone said, "Loving the honesty. Just wanted to show you that. Keep you motivated. Keep you happy over there, Adam. Give you a little dopamine hit to keep you going."
I can't help it. I'm an overshare. I can't help it.
uh, to this comment, this is just real quick. Sure, connect us. I would love to talk to him. Uh, Daniel's still here supporting. Appreciate that. Now, let's see. This is a standard story. Um, Very standard story about going back. Okay. Put $50, wrote it up to 1,500 before falling back to 1,000, withdrew and already lost 350 of the 1,000, should be up 2K. Essentially, went back to gambling, won money, couldn't stop, kept going, and now the inevitable outcome is going to be that all of it gets deposited back in and eventually all of it's lost. Um, I understand that it's a very frustrating feeling, and there's no good advice here for me to tell you, yeah, just be responsible with the rest of it. You're going to lose it if you keep gambling. If that's something you're okay with, then maybe it's not the right time for us to have a real conversation yet. But if you do want to quit, this is a perfect example of why like no win is ever big enough. This happened to you before?
I don't know, maybe like 5,000 times. I mean, literally halfway through you reading it, it's like, yeah, no, how many times did I text that, to someone in my life as I'm driving home from the casino,
Mm,
or I'm sitting in the parking lot trying to get money from someone to Venmo me, right?
yeah.
You know, Joseph, there's a lot of talk about harm reduction or, um, you know, managing your gambling. Like maybe you don't have to stop. Maybe you just need to put the brakes on it and boundaries. You know, what I'm reading right here, Joseph, it sounds like you're like Rob and I.
Mm,
There's no such thing as harm reduction for us, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's not.
no.
If there's one thing I've learned in the last 3 years and 7 months, there is so much fucking more to life than gambling and doing what we did. I watched
Yeah.
my Patriots win today and I loved it, right? And even though they're about to blow it like 3 different times, it's amazing like how I felt in that moment opposed to if I had money on it, right?
Mhm,
But no, like this is just a clear case of Joseph could get up. You could hit a parlay tonight, Joseph. You're going to be sending this comment again in 3 weeks. It's just that's death, taxes, and the house always wins. That's it. I mean, there's you know what I mean. Like
mhm.
it's really
It's just a cycle.
yeah, for sure.
I think this is a good one for us, Adam. Do you ever feel an urge after being clean for so long, but you're talking about this all the time? Just talking about gambling, does running your podcast, does running your meeting make you want to go back?
Great question. First of all, why is everyone asking Rob questions? No one has a question for me. Like, come on. I'm just
See,
kidding.
I'm phrasing them for the group.
I
Don't
know, I
worry
know.
about it.
So yeah, I mean, Nicole, I think for me, um, I think just because I gambled for so long, right? Like I meet people in these rooms that, they're like, yeah, I had a rough 3 years. I had a rough 5 years. And, I have a lot of sympathy with them if they go back out because it's like, I did it for 20. Okay. I did it for more than half of my life. So there's anything in the last 3 years and 7 months that's been thrown at me, nothing has moved the needle for me. And I think a lot of that has to do with my recovery and my tribe and the people that have helped me along the way. But it's also because I had had enough. I did it for 20 years, So for the people that only did it for a short amount of time and are working in these spaces, I could see how that would happen. But for me, no, like I could talk recovery all day, every day. And I'll be honest too, like I still watch like gambling content once in a while. I almost like hate watch it. Like I still watch like like Bretsky and Bluff and those guys. I'll occasionally watch those and it doesn't trigger me. I just like want to like get them on the modern meeting and like have a debate with them.
I can take care of that for you. Brett actually hit me up a while ago, and he
Come
wanted to make
on,
some
dude.
content where it would be. I didn't quite fit the bill, but I was going to play the part of anti-gambler versus pro-gambler debate on whether or not gambling should be legal. But
Oh
he
my
wanted to do it on
God.
like 1 day's notice in Vegas, and I was like, I can't make it. But
Dude, let's set
I'll
that
get you
up.
connected.
Oh
I
my
got you.
God.
But
Yeah.
to answer this question from my side, because I think I fall into that category of like I gambled for what felt like a long time to me, but it was 6 years compared to a lot longer from maybe some other people in recovery. Um, the reason that I don't feel tempted talking about it so much is because I've kind of become a hater, and
Yeah.
so when I'm talking about gambling, I'm talking about the worst parts of it, right? And if I'm talking about the good parts, I'm talking about how they're being weaponized to get people addicted. So if I'm talking about good parts, I'm talking about how streamers like Togi, like Aiden Ross, are showing you big wins so that you will sign up with their code and they'll get a portion of your losses forever. So I'm talking about it a lot, but it's not like I'm talking about really positive things. They're not quite tempting me to come back.
Hmm.
So it's not so much being around it, it's kind of the tone of the conversation that would kind of inform whether or not it's a temptation. But we're
One
going to
thing
keep
I'll
getting to questions. Oh, yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say one thing I'll add too is that, when I was gambling, I ate, slept, worked my day job, and I gambled. Like there was nothing else going on in my life to take up stuff in my brain. The beauty of recovery is that you eventually appreciate the smaller things in life and you eventually start doing other things, and it just takes up more space in your brain where you're not just sitting there, thinking about like how do I get that next big hit. So I think that's important to add too, is that once you start doing this, like even though it might be a lot of it might be related around gambling, it's also related around like I'm editing videos, I'm trying to get people to come on, so it's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, it takes on a new persona. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's a business, right? Where we're now, using positive things or negative things about our lives to try to create a positive outcome for the future. But like
Mm,
right now, as we're having this conversation, I'm looking at the viewer count, I'm looking at the comment section, I'm trying to manage this and structure this so it's a full conversation, right? It's not that it's like a lie or a facade or anything like that. It's just this has now become our lives, right? Our
mhm,
lives are how can we present this in a way that people are going to want to engage with it? And so it's just a way different situation
for
than it
sure.
used to be. We got a nice comment here though from Tony. It says this has been a good listen from a compulsive gambler.
Tony, thank you, Tony.
Are you listening to the stream on your phone as well,
Yeah,
Adam? Because
I'm so sorry. I'm about to shut
yeah,
it off.
I was like I'm hearing an echo, but I'm thinking that you're just one of our 40 viewers here. Um,
Sorry.
if you're one of the other 40 viewers, make sure that you leave a like on this video. It will push it out to a wider audience, and we'll get some more questions rolling in as we go for the second half of the show. Um, Another positive thing from Curtis here. Appreciate you, Curtis. And we're still waiting on some questions to roll in. So let me phrase a question for you, Adam. Um, if someone gave you a bunch of money and said, you can have this, but you have to go and gamble it, would you do it? Because I get that hypothetical a lot.
Love this question, and I do too. And the answer is 1000% no. And the reason why is that, you know, I'm strong right now. But if I actually went and gambled, like forget about seeds being planted, like that whole garden is gonna bloom back up, right? And then the disease would be, okay, I'm back, here we go, and all the
Mm,
justifications would start rolling in. And yeah, no, there's no amount of money. Day at a time, knock on wood, but like I'm never going to gamble again. Oh, I hate saying that though. I can't say that, but tomorrow I'm not going to gamble. Today I haven't gambled, but no, I'm not gonna.
yeah, of course. And I only ask it because I know, like, I get that all the time from people that are like looking for a reason to go back. And so I wanted to hear your answer on it. Mine is just like I wouldn't really see a point. Um,
You know,
like,
oh,
yeah,
I was just gonna say. So the one thing that I have talked about to people before is
mm,
if I someday am in a casino, which once again, why would I ever be in a casino? But like, if someone said to me like, "Do you want to roll the dice for me?"
mm,
No money, no nothing. Just do you want to roll the dice and control my bets, and I get the money, win or lose? I still would say no, but it would be a hard say no because I would love.
mm,
I miss I miss playing craps for sure, you
mm,
know. But I would still like I wouldn't risk it because even without the money, all those wires that have been rewired in my brain, they'd be fucking ripped out in
mm,
a second. If I touched the dice, if I threw the dice, if I said 52 across, if I said quarter on the hard way and then I hit the hard way, I said parlay it. I mean,
mm.
couldn't do it.
It's interesting because I would feel the opposite. I would almost feel like, and this is what my sponsor calls it. And note before I say this, I don't have a sister, but he always says it feels like kissing your sister.
Mm,
Um, and so I guess the expression meaning it's not really doing anything for you. It's just like what's the point? That's
Mhm.
how I would feel in both the situation you're describing and the hypothetical.
For
Like,
sure.
the reason that I liked gambling was because it felt like a way to consistently prove that I was good at something, and the money was more or less the scoreboard for me. Of course, I'd be happy when I'd win, I'd say, "I'm rich, like, this is fantastic," but the money was just kind of a score that said you did a good job, you are worthy, you have sports knowledge, you were a good gambler. And so if someone gave me money and I started up already, it would almost feel like infantilizing. Like I don't know if what the right word is. Like here you needed our help. Like the whole point of me doing it before was to prove that I could do everything by myself.
Right.
And so that's why I would say no. It's just what's the point almost.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would rather them just you can give me money if you want, but I'm not gonna gamble it. Now, if you guys have questions about gambling, gambling addiction, or addiction recovery, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Adam, tell them a little bit about your podcast while we're waiting on some more questions to roll in.
Yeah, no. So I was probably maybe a year and a half into my 3 years and 7 months, and I wanted to start a podcast because I was in these 12-step meetings and I was like, why am I the youngest person by 30 years? Why are
Mhm,
there not a lot of women? Why are there barely any like young people? While gambling is exploding around me, right? It's evolving, it's going crazy. And I wanted to do it. I was going to start a podcast, and like someone in my meeting was like, "Easy, easy, easy, cowboy. Like you're still way too early to be." They just thought it would be like detrimental to my recovery, which
mm,
I guess maybe I can see that. I don't know. And then like another year went by, and I was like, "Yeah, no, like I got to do this because nothing is changing." The meetings were getting a little stale, and like ESPN was showing the lines on the bottom of the screen rather than the scores. I'm just like, enough is enough.
mm,
And so yeah, like November 11th of 2024, I launched the Modern Meeting, and the idea, it's evolved a little bit. Where when I first started, I was like, the number one goal is to get people comfortable with going to an actual meeting, and
mm,
this is like we're bringing the meeting to them. But I don't think that way anymore. Like this can be the meeting. This
mm,
podcast can be something that people go to on Mondays and Thursdays when I release an episode, and they're going to hear a story. I start every episode with a portion of my story, and and I have people affected loved ones on. I have people like you who work in the space on. And yeah, and now we're starting to kind of build a community a little bit. We have a
mm,
virtual meeting on Monday nights. It's open to any and all, whether you're suffering with drugs, alcohol, gambling, affected loved one, or you're just curious. We have people from all over the world on the Zoom. It's been amazing. But yeah, it's it's so um what's the word? Like, it's just been so amazing, and I'm so proud of, like, everything that we've done, but
mm.
it's also the more I learn and the more people I meet, the more, like, frustrated I get that, like like, we're just still not doing enough, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you've I mean, the work that everyone is putting in and all these councils, and it's just we need more. Like, we need more ammo to fight against this monster that is casino gambling and advertising and marketing, and we gotta keep plugging away.
Yeah, I wish the people cared because I care.
They're
But
gonna care. It's just gonna take
uh,
more time, you know? They're gonna, you
well, I
know?
hope I hope that when they do, they go back and watch the documentary because that was such a bitch to me. Let me hit this one real quick. So, Juan, in the description of this video on YouTube, I've linked a video called "How I Quit Gambling." I sit for actually an hour and I walk through every single thing that I did to quit. Briefly summing it up, I turned over control of my finances to family. I self-excluded from the casinos. I went to more support group meetings and I found a purpose in my life, which is why we're here talking to each other today. But definitely recommend watching that video if you've got the time. If not, run the transcript through ChatGPT. So it'll summarize it. Now, I think we got a good question from Daniel. How would you guys go about trying to help a friend who clearly has a gambling addiction, but they don't see it themselves? You want to state, or you want to take the start?
Yeah, I mean, as I'm getting my, IGRS certification, I'm learning about, uh when I so I answer the hotline in Massachusetts. If someone calls the Gamblers Anonymous hotline in New England, I'm one of the people that answers. And for a while, I would be the guy to be like, "Here's my story. Tell me about your story. Here's what you need to do. Here's a blueprint." That's not how it works, right?
Mm,
What I do now when I answer the hotline, I say, "Hey, tell me your story." Then they tell me, and I say, "Man, like I've been there. That stinks. Like,
Mm,
how does it make you feel? Right? Where do you want to be in a month? Where do you
mm,
want to be in a year? You got to let that person tell you what their path is, right? And then
mhm,
you can be their Sherpa up the mountain a little bit and throw in little nuggets of wisdom. But it's similar to like telling your kid like, hey, don't do that. Guess what? Then they're gonna do it. So
yeah,
if someone that isn't ready to admit it to themselves, but you want to sit down with them and you have a heart to heart and you say all the right things, they aren't ready to listen, right?
mm,
But if you can just get them to start opening up about how the gambling makes them feel, how it makes their loved ones feel, you know, what's tell me about like some negative things that have happened. Like how has gambling affected you in a negative way?
mm,
Let them start going, and then you can help them. Well, it sounds like you would really benefit from like going on a Zoom meeting, or it sounds like you'd really benefit from this podcast. And then
yeah,
all it takes is one resource, one story to it might set something off in their brain. Just like for me, it took the yellow book. When I read that
mhm,
yellow book, February 8th, 2022, a light bulb went off in my head, right?
mhm,
Sometimes it's watching one of your videos. Sometimes it's hearing someone's story on a podcast. Like it's not death, taxes, the house always wins, and you cannot recover by yourself.
mm.
Four things in life that are certain.
Wow. I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that phrase, but I think I like it.
I mean,
Yeah, because people
yeah,
people ask that a lot.
yeah,
Um, it's just not even worth trying. You don't have
no,
to.
yeah,
Um, I would also say like when I first started making videos, the thing that I would say is like gambling is bad and you should quit. And here's why. And all the comments, like without failure, were like, "You suck at gambling. I'm better than you at it. Like you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you're just trash." And so what I started doing instead was making like the videos that I ended up doing on TikTok that went well were like, here's 5 signs of a gambling addiction. Comment how many you answered yes to. And people were like, oh shit, I answered 5 out of 5. I answered 5 out of 5. Send it to their friend. Hey bro, you answered 5 out of 5. Out of that, like it wasn't like every comment was like, wow, this is so insightful. It was a lot of it was a bunch of crap again because it's TikTok. But I got so many messages of like, wow, I didn't know that these 2 or 3 things were a problem. Uh, maybe they stopped, maybe they didn't, but helping people to realize it themselves is really what's valuable there.
for sure.
Let's see what else we got. How can I stop thinking I am losing a chance to win when I don't gamble? I know I will never win, but I can't stop thinking that way.
Oh,
So, you see the Eagles. I don't know if they ended up winning against the Chiefs, but you're like, oh man, like that was a lock. That was obviously going to happen. How do I stop feeling regret over that?
oh my God. I mean, can I call you Cal? I'm gonna call you Cal. I cannot. I mean, this question hits me deep in my soul because that was me for 20 years. Okay. Like walking away from the roulette table, but having to stop 20 feet away to see what the next number was going to be. Um, you know, leaving the craps table and then going sitting at a slot machine within hearing distance. And then once I start hearing the table cheering, getting so angry that like, oh my God. And honestly, like once again, it goes back to one of the first things I said is that, okay, yeah, you may win that one bet. You may win that one game. Think, don't even think big picture, think medium picture. Within the next 4 or 5 times you gamble, you're going to give it all back. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter, right? So that's a big thing is that once you realize that no matter what, it's all going back. It's all going back. You know how many times I spent money in those 20 years on anything besides gambling? Almost never.
Yeah.
I didn't own a pair of jeans for like 4 years. When I worked for
Jeez.
MGM and I had to wear a suit every day, I owned suits and hoodies and gym shorts because all I did when I wasn't working was lay around or gamble. And I
Yeah.
was sitting in a casino with shorts and a hoodie on.
Hmm.
I mean,
Man.
the money, it's not about the money. It's not about
Yeah.
the money. It never was. It never.
I think a good question to ask them in response is like, what did you do with your withdrawal the last time you took a withdrawal?
Right.
Because I remember, especially when I was gambling on like Bovada, and I just didn't have full confidence that the money was actually going to get paid out to me. I remember like triggering a withdrawal like really late at night, and like it was for 70% of whatever the balance was. And then I see it's in my account, and I'm like, all right, great. Now I can go to sleep. And I wake up in the morning and I lose the rest of the money that was there. And within what, 5 minutes after that, I'm redepositing the full withdrawal that I'd just taken out. Like
Hmm.
that's what I did with my gambling winnings, right? What are you doing with it that's making you feel like you're actually a winner? Because it just seems like you're trading ammunition back and forth. It's one way to kind of reframe it there. Um, wow, this is a nice comment. First time I've heard this chat, and it's everything I'm going through. Thank you so much for sharing. Agree, it's definitely a disease. We're happy to have you here, Lisa. Check out either one of our channels or both if you got the time, and hopefully you can find some other stuff on there that is helpful for you. Let's see. This is like a question that I think isn't that deep and it seems more situational than anything. But we can kind of phrase it in a way that could be useful. So if you owe someone money and you're able to pay it off, should you lump sum it or should you pay it in payments? I would say payments because if you lump sum it, you might add financial pressure to yourself that might make you feel like you have to gamble more to win to get back to a comfortable level. But what do you think, Adam?
You know, I was gonna think something else until you just said that. I will say what I first thought of, and it all depends on your situation. If you're
Mhm.
trying to stop, I kind of lean towards pay him the
Mhm.
whole thing and eat ketchup sandwiches for a little while. But what I used to do all the time is I would pay the bookie in full,
Mhm.
have no money, and then I would borrow money from someone else in order to get through the week. And me getting through the week was just having bullets to go gamble, right?
Yeah.
Or paying like bills that I had to pay, like my car payment or rent. But like, yeah, I mean, it's I think it's situational. I really do. If you're trying to stop, pay the debt. But if you're doing it like if you're doing a pressure relief group meeting, if you're in recovery and you're, you know, you want to be efficient about it and you want to, yeah, you want to set up as many payment plans as possible and knock down, you know, it all depends. It's all situational. But yeah, I would,
Yeah.
if you're trying to quit, I would say pay in full. If not, um yeah, don't like Rob said, you might end up causing more stress or creating more debt when you overextend yourself.
Yeah, that's why I like when I read the question the first time, I was like, I don't know if we should answer it because it's going to be very situational. For like,
Yeah.
we literally had the exact opposite like thought, and so
Yeah.
that's why it was so difficult. But I think really it's getting down to like, what is the overwhelming or the underlying emotion that you're trying to achieve with the payment? Is it to
Mhm.
get the pressure off yourself so you can keep gambling? Is it to get rid of it once and for all? So you got to ask yourself the questions: Are you doing whatever you're doing so that you can gamble more or less? And that would likely lead you to the right outcome. This is a good one.
Can I say
Oh,
one
yeah.
thing too?
Yeah, yeah,
So
please.
here's one thing I wanted to say to everybody in the chat is that, you know, for me, I feel like all of these questions you guys are asking, they're great. And, you know, I appreciate the forum that, you know, I'm here and I'm able to help you guys. But at the end of the day, too, my advice for this whole thing is like, everything that you're asking us, ask yourself, look
Mhm.
in the mirror, do some serious soul searching and moral inventory, and you know, be honest with yourself, because that's the thing for me for so long. The honesty, the open-mindedness, and the willingness. We have this thing in GA, you know, how do I get help? How do I get help? It's HOW, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to get help. I was open and honest with everybody but myself. Once I started being honest with myself about what I was doing, that's when things started to happen. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, I think it's great, and I think it's absolutely true. A lot of questions that we get are definitely confirmation bias,
Yeah.
or seeking confirmation bias, but it's still, you know, we do what we can. Like in that sense, if everyone did their own soul searching and questioning, we'd be out of job, which is okay. So, but I think that you
Mm.
hit the nail on the head, and you know, maybe it's a quick conversation with us before doing that that kind of gets the ball rolling. But
Right.
you're not going to get anywhere just hearing an answer. You have to internalize it and you have to act on it
Ooh,
and really ask yourself that.
I see a good question down there that I can't wait to answer.
Let's see.
I'll
I
let you
see
get to it.
two. Is it is it this one?
No, but we can answer this one.
We'll get man deep your questions. That's okay. Well, let's say yours first. Should I stop watching games which trigger me odds when I watch the game? I always start checking odds when I want to watch. What to do? So that seems like a loaded question. If watching a game makes you want to check the odds, definitely don't do it. If you're watching a game and not checking the odds and you're enjoying it, that's great. Very situational, my friend. And I think this is a great example of what Adam just said. Ask yourself the question: is watching this game helping me or hurting me? And if you are able to answer it very easily, I think you kind of know the truth at this point. Which question were you talking about? Who asked it?
Greg.
Okay. Did either of you two stop drinking alcohol at the time of your last bet? My answer is no. What's your answer, Adam?
My answer is also no. And
Mm,
I think that it's funny, my entire life, I've never struggled with alcohol or drugs, which is very, I'd say we are in the minority when it comes to usually, if you have a gambling disorder, you also struggle with alcohol and drugs. But for me,
mm,
never the case. And also, too, out of the 20 years that I gambled, I can count on one hand. Forget about like being drunk,
mm,
just drinking and gambling. I never drank when I gambled because I was always myself and I don't really drink. I mean, I drank, like I worked in the restaurant industry for a lot of years. Like I drank, but like never to the point where it was ever a problem. But that being said, there are a lot of cases that I know of that I've, experienced firsthand with people that I know where they stop gambling and then they end up in another fellowship because they needed something, right? So it's definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. If and when you do, you know, get a hold of something and go into recovery for drugs, alcohol, gambling, you gotta if it's one and the other two are seemingly there's no issue,
mm.
you definitely keep an eye on it for sure.
Yeah. I feel like if I were to go to an AA meeting, I would probably answer yes to enough of the questions to be called an alcoholic.
Really?
But I do. But at the same time, I don't feel remotely the attachment to it that I felt with gambling.
Hmm.
Like, I've gone I kinda fit into that, like, binge category, right? Where it's like I go extended periods of time without it, then I go out with my friends, and we just kinda get the ball rolling, and all of a sudden, I wake up with a hangover. Um, Now do I feel like I need to drink to escape boredom? No. Do I feel like I need to drink when I get upset? No. Do I feel like I need to drink ever? No. But once I start, I will say I don't really stop until the night ends, which is an interesting thing. But they also for me were very separate things as well. Sometimes I would do it at the same time and it would make the gambling a little worse, but the emotional draw of gambling is not something that I feel with the alcohol. So I'd probably
Yeah,
still answer more than 7 though, I would imagine.
yeah, but also, no, I'm not trying to be ageist here, but if I was your age answering, when in my mid 20s, yeah, I might have answered more questions to that. Yeah, you're a young buck, so you're still, I just get to the point like even like last night, I'm at my cousin's house and we're eating dinner and we're hanging out and I
Mm.
had like two glasses of wine. He's like, "You want another one?" And I'm just like, "Oof, I'm good." Like I'm like, I just I'm good. Like like I
Yeah.
don't because for me, and it's honestly similar. Like the thing about gambling too, it's like you're obviously like you're not drunk when you're gambling, but I was high when I gambled. Like and people who would go to the casino with me would say it. They'd be like, "Did you see Ad like tonight? He was
Mm.
skipping through the casino when we first walked in, and then once he's lost and he's walking back to the hotel room, it's like his dog died. You know what I mean? Like that's not normal.
Yeah.
Not
It's
normal.
the emotional swing with it. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly how I was when I would go to a casino too. But I always find this question just so strange because I would say that alcohol has caused more problems than benefits in my life, but not nearly as many problems as the gambling. I guess that doesn't necessarily make it better, but it is what
Right.
it is. So yeah, a lot of people confirming what we're saying in the chat as well. Uh, so Michael says I can't stop gambling. Well, you're in the right spot, my friend. Adam and I are both in recovery from a gambling addiction, and for at least the next 25 minutes or so, we're going to be here answering questions that you have about gambling, gambling addiction, and addiction recovery. If it's your first time seeing us, feel free to check out our accounts. We both share our stories as well as the stories of other people who are in recovery, and the whole goal is to help you avoid going down the same path that we did. I feel like that's fair to say. Is that fair, Adam?
Yeah, that's fair.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you guys have questions, feel free to hit them in the chat. I don't want to speak for the channel and so you just pivoted and became like a gambling policy channel. Like, I don't want to say the wrong thing, right? Which I wouldn't recommend from a YouTube strategy perspective.
Mm,
It's
mm.
apparently not very good. Tell me about the last night that you gambled.
Oh wow. Last night that I gambled was NFC Championship game, January 30th, 2022. I always, like any shitty gambler, I bet the over, or I would always bet the over and the favorite. This night, I bet the underdog. I bet the 49ers. They were like plus 3.5 or whatever. They were up outright in the third quarter. They end up blowing the game. I lose a huge bet. And I had been living in Texas outside of Austin for 6 months. I hadn't been into a casino. I was sending my dad money. This was like the end game. I was trying to get help. The plan was I was going to work at this poker room in Austin, make a bunch of money, send it to my dad, come home, go to GA, start my life over. And for 6 months, that's what I was doing until I lost that bet. I was half drunk and I did what I thought I wouldn't do. And I drove to the nearest casino in Oklahoma, 5 hours away. And then I spent 36 hours in that casino. I lost everything to my name. I borrowed from coworkers I barely knew. When the dust settled, I lost thousands. And that was, it's so funny. I tell this story all the time. That technically wasn't my last night because, so I had the rock bottom moment. I had the spiritual awakening in the parking lot in Oklahoma. Knew I was going to go to GA, but 2 days later, I played shitty poker, like a mixed game poker. Because I once again, like even though I was ready, the disease was still fighting me. So yeah, the last night I ever gambled was that shitty poker game. Oh God, that was the worst poker game ever. But the damage that the big real last night in a casino was that 36-hour binge in the middle of Oklahoma.
Hmm.
Half drunk after losing a sports bet.
Yeah. I have It's actually interesting that you used the 36-hour because I remember when Dave came on my show for the very first time, he told that story of when he stayed in a casino for 36 hours and didn't even realize it. I feel like 36 hours must just be like the maximum capacity for us as problem gamblers before we snap into reality. I don't know what it is about that number.
Well, no, I mean, if I had more money, I would have kept going. I mean, who knows how
Mm,
long I would have went.
yeah, fair enough. We see comments like this. Mandeep is really hooking us up with some good stuff. We see comments like this all the time, right? Made a bunch of money, lost it all right away. You know, any words of wisdom or encouragement for someone who's maybe on day one?
Be patient. Be patient and go. Forget about day at a time. Go fucking 1 hour at a time if you have to.
Mm,
And before you set foot in that casino or before you reinstall that app that you deleted, call somebody.
mm,
Take it, keep it simple, right? Um, but yeah, just be patient
yeah,
and know that you can't do it alone. You got to involve somebody.
yeah. I think we are so hardwired to try to solve everything at once.
Yeah,
Um, because for so long, if you're going back and forth, like you're getting yourself out of jams by winning, it feels like you can solve everything with just like one big swing. It's really important to begin to work on that mindset from day one. This is a big problem. There's a lot going on here, but it doesn't have to get solved right now.
right.
Not everything has to get solved. I just have to stop making it worse. And
Yes.
then you begin to rebuild. But you got to put the fire out. Can't you can't get better from a gambling problem if you keep gambling. It sounds stupid, but it's true.
Mm.
Let's see. Mhm. No more questions yet in the chat, but guys, feel free to drop any questions you have about gambling, gambling addiction, or addiction recovery. We have a lot of people just telling kind of a story about the last time that they gambled, big bets turning into big losses. Unfortunately, the common story that we hear very often. Adam, is there any question that you want people to ask that you'd really like to answer today?
That's a good question. A question about questions. Um, I got a question. I
Yeah.
got a question for the chat. Um, like I'm trying to think. Like if I was gambling, like if this landscape of like support, like if all these YouTube channels that didn't exist 3 years ago
Mm,
existed when I was still gambling, and someone sent me a link, like I don't know if I would have like listened to your story or Daniel's story and it would have went one ear and out the other. I
mm,
guess my question is like, does our content does it actually like make people think, or
mm,
is everyone just kind of still in that one ear and out the other?
mm.
Because I went to a GA meeting in 2009 and I read the same book that moved me to tears 15 years or 13 years later. But when I read it in 2009, I could give a shit. I went and played Keno that night.
Yeah.
Right. So once again, I kind of think it goes back to like honesty. Like, like are people coming on these channels just to kind of tell war stories and bad beat stories? Or is what we're saying like actually like making you think?
Mm. The data on my channel would lead me to believe that the first encounter that people have with our content is that they're seeking out someone who is worse than them. Now,
Mm.
why is that the case? That's going to be up to the individual people, right? It's like, why are you watching anything? I don't know. But my assumption is that the same way that I used to watch like men's self-improvement content, if you see someone in a worse position than you, it justifies your own actions, which is why a major question that I get asked all the time is how much money did you lose? Because if I give an answer that's more than what they lost, well, all of a sudden I'm a gambling addict and they're okay, right? So that is one of my big fears, is that people are coming to channels like ours just to hear someone that's worse off than them to feel better about their situation and not change. But what
Damn.
the data also shows is that when people do get further down the funnel and they're watching videos about, why do I have this pattern of behavior? How do I stop this particular thing? How do I structure a debt repayment? When they're watching the what I call a direct help video, then they convert into a someone that clicks on resource links. And so I think it's a mixture of things, man. I think that when we put out a video that we know is going to perform really well, a lot of the people that see it aren't yet ready to hear it.
Yeah.
But if we're putting out the content that's gonna help, they'll find it.
I just thought of a second question. Is there something that we haven't put out content wise that you guys would want to see?
Oh, sure. That'd
Right.
be great. Yeah, drop it in the chat, guys. Let us know.
Like I have one idea. Can I tell you the idea I have? Have I
Yeah,
told you about this?
I don't
I want to get
know.
I want to get like as many volunteers as possible who are in recovery, and I want to film a live meeting,
Mm,
like a GA meeting. Maybe
sure.
not GA because I don't know if we can legally do that, but like
Yeah.
I want and I don't want it to be staged. Like I almost want it so like they don't. I haven't thought of the logistics yet, but if I'm sitting here right now in this chat and I'm struggling, and I
Mm,
can click on a link and I can watch a meeting and I can see 10 people's stories live, that might be some medicine. You know what I mean? What do
mhm.
you guys think of that? Would anyone be interested in watching that?
I think it'd be interesting, especially
No,
if the
Adam, fuck
people
off. Really? All right, cool. No, kidding. I didn't
I
say
think
that.
that I think that if the people that are in the meeting don't know that they're being filmed, I think that'd be really valuable. Because
Mm,
even when we do like stories, like someone said that they saw yours on my channel and they really liked it and it was helpful for them, right? The tone that we talk to each other is way different than we would talk at a meeting because we're also thinking about structuring a conversation for a podcast. So it comes
true.
into this issue of like, can we provide real, genuine, 100% authentic stories, support, and guidance if we know that we're on camera? Because
See,
at a
yeah.
certain point, you have to keep it interesting enough that people are going to stick around, or like they'll just click off.
Damn it. Okay, you're right. So yeah, it's probably not going
But
to
I think
work.
Well, here's the way that I think it could work, is if you told people that they were gonna do it, and you got the 10 people or whatever, and then you had a practice session that you said would be not recorded, but beforehand you had them sign waivers that, like, you had the right to record at all times, and then
Boom.
record the practice session so that they don't know.
Boom. Hopefully none
Yeah.
of them watch this. So yeah, that's what I'm
I
gonna
don't really know. Let me skip
do.
through the chat real quick and just see what's going on.
Mm.
So Cal asked another question. Like, the odds are stacked against me. I know I'm not supposed to win, but I keep gambling. What's the psychology? Cal, if you reach the point that Adam and I reached, it doesn't matter if you're going to win or lose. You're just gambling to feel. Your brain has developed a tolerance toward the amount of dopamine that you get from placing bets, and you have to keep gambling to keep feeling okay. Our brains maladapt to feel like we need gambling to survive. Now, let's see. We got this nice comment from another person named Adam. I wanted to just throw that up there.
I
Uh,
swear that wasn't me. I swear that
it's
wasn't
not
me.
you. It could be your burner. I don't know. Let's see.
Uh,
Uh, hold on.
Thanks, Adam. Great name,
Yeah,
brother.
that's a good one. Here we go. I keep trying to self-exclude myself from the online casino, but they keep tempting me with large bonuses that I can't refuse. Is this normal they do this? It's totally normal that they do it. Yeah, that's why they make billions of dollars. Let's focus on a different part of the sentence. I can't refuse. What's going on there? What do you think, Adam?
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth, Rob. You can refuse, Lisa. You got to do it. You
Mhm.
know, like that's what these operators do. They everything is designed to keep us playing, from the emails to the way the casinos look to the way the machines are put together, everything. So, you know, if you think that they're going to be like, okay, Lisa, okay, no, you know what I mean? Like day day one after 5 years from excluding from Fox's Mohegan, I got a fucking email from Foxwoods, swear to God, saying
Mm,
like, giving offering me like a free night.
mm.
So yeah, bottom line is you gotta unsubscribe from that thing. You gotta block that. You gotta get some Gamban. Shout out Gamban, and you gotta, yeah. That's the only way.
Yeah, I used to think like I can't pass this up. It's free money. You have to
Oh my
look at it
God.
for what it is. What
Yes.
it is, it might be free money in the moment, but what it actually is bait on the end of a hook. They're not giving it to
Yes.
you for fun. They're doing it so that you'll spend more.
Yeah.
Um, Here's a good one. Straight to the point. How long do you feel like shit after you hit rock bottom?
Which time?
Yeah, I think so. For me, it took me about 6 months to start feeling okay again because I was working through debt repayment. I was feeling bad for myself. I was kicking myself, and I was still missing a purpose. Once I started to find content as a purpose, once I started to try to help people be something outside of just a selfish person, that really helped. So, to answer your question, it took me 6 months. For you, it might take 6 hours, it might take 6 years, but it's really about finding what your next right path is, I think.
Yeah, I mean, as far as feeling like shit, I didn't feel like shit uh like midway through that my first meeting. I know
Mm,
I keep talking about that meeting. I mean, it's my story. I'm not trying to, but I my first year in recovery, I I felt good and I felt proud, but like, I had a rude awakening like 13, 14 months in when I realized like, yeah, I was staying away from a bet, but I maxed out a credit card. Like
mm,
I put this is my midlife crisis sleeve that is all credit cards. You know what I mean? Like I went to a bunch of
mm,
concerts with credit cards. Like so I still had those character defects in me where, I thought, oh, let's uh let's go to Chris Stapleton because you deserve it because you used to spend
mm,
3 grand at the casino. Like what's $500 for two floor seats?
mm.
Well, okay, if you can pay cash for it, scumbag, but you can't. You put it on a credit card, So I didn't feel like shit, but it took me a while to feel good and to start really, recovering, not just stay away from a bet. There's a big difference between abstinence or staying away from a bet and actual real recovery.
100%. That was well said. We have a couple more good questions, and we'll go another like 10 minutes or so here. So if you have questions, guys, feel free to drop them in the chat. How do you quit when you know you're winning? I crush poker, just eats up my life. I have nothing outside poker, is what it feels like. So yeah, I mean, we could easily take the anti-gambler, you're gonna lose your money type of approach, but let's give this guy the benefit of the doubt and say that right now he's making money. Let's talk about, is this addiction just about the money?
Yeah, I mean, Michael, I can't tell, I hope everyone realizes that, if you knew me 3 years, 7 months, and 5 days ago, I was a different person, right? Like, if I read this 3 years, 7 months, 5 days ago, I'd be like, "Oh, I know, right?" Like, I just came in second in that tournament at the lodge, like, and now I have all these bullets, and like I'm really, really gonna play good now. I'm gonna play,
Mhm.
I'm gonna set my boundaries. Blah, 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 blah. It just, I get it. I get it. When you're in it, I thought stuff like this all the time.
Mm,
I mean, for me, it's just like poker, and I know you've talked about this, Rob. Like poker is no different than any other form of gambling, unless actually no, because I remember what you said to me. Don't even say the 1%. It's 0%. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And then the second part of this, I can crush poker, but it just eats away at my life. I have nothing outside of poker, is what it feels like. So there you go. Mike is like, can I call you Mike? Mike, it's like we gotta fill that hole with other things. Right? Like we need to fill it with, you know, what are we thankful for? Like what are the little things in life that we're neglecting while we're gambling? When's the last time we talked to that friend that we used to be so close with and now we're not because they don't gamble and I do? Once you start filling your life with those things, poker, it's not going to mean as much. Someone calls it capital. I think Dr. Nate Smith said something about like capital. Like, oh, I got to figure it out, but like just
Recovery capital.
maybe like recovery. Yeah, like the more stuff you have going on in your life, the easier it is to not think that gambling is the be all end all. And once again, like I can remember when people like my dad or my parents or a girlfriend or a friend would be like, you got to stop gambling. You can't gamble. And I would look at them and be like, you are like, there is no way I'm going to live the rest of my life and not gamble. I mean, maybe I'll quit casinos, but I got to do something, right?
Mm,
And I truly, without a doubt, stick me with truth serum in that moment. I thought that I did not see a life without gambling. That's what this addiction, this disease, that's what it does to us. So, everyone who's in this chat that's struggling, I feel your pain. I was there. Rob was there.
mm.
And yeah, we're just trying to tell you that like the other side is, oh, it's so much better. It's
Yeah.
so much better.
Man, I mean, it's why you can't think of a gambling addiction in terms of the black and red, right? If you're up
Yeah.
money right now, does that mean you're not addicted to gambling? That's such a terrible mindset because like what we fail to think about is just the trends. One of the actual law of large numbers, the fact that we're going to keep gambling and eventually it's going to backfire and lose. But also like if it's an addiction, right? The money is the fuel, the money is the way we get our high, but it's not what is actually being impacted in our lives. It's one of the many consequences is the drain on your finances. But if you're only playing poker, you're neglecting your family, your friends, probably your work outside of poker. You're neglecting where you want to go next in life. And you're measuring your happiness based on your bank account. And your bank account is one that's going to change a lot because if you keep gambling, it's going to go up and it's going to go down. So if you are tracking your success in life based on things that are outside of your control, 100% outside of your control, it's just a recipe for disaster.
And also one last thing is like, when you're crushing poker or you're having a good month with craps, okay, keep keeping track for the next 6 months. Keep it on, right? You want to keep that ledger? Okay, go ahead, right? When I first moved out to Vegas, part of the deal was I told my dad, I was like, hey, I'm going to keep track of every single gambling session I have. And for the first like 3 weeks, I did because I was close to even. But then once I started losing, oh, forgot to log that one, forgot to log that one, forgot to log that one. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
mm,
Anything to keep going, I guess, at, at that point.
hmm
This is an interesting one. Um, so some YouTube channels say when you go to a casino, just use your entertainment budget as if you were going to the movies, dinner. How can we help YouTube slot channels understand it's not that simple? I think that that implies that YouTube slot channels don't already know that. I think they already do know that, and the large majority of them are actively trying to addict their their users. But we don't need to go down that path. Let's just talk about it like this. So why is it not just the same as using your money to go for the movies? Why is it not the same as going to dinner? I want to give an answer that's not quite my own. It's one from a man named Les Burnell. He's the director of Stop Predatory Gambling. And he gets this question a lot, right? Because they're like, oh, it's just entertainment. It's fine. Well, the problem is that gambling is a zero sum game. If you go to the movies, if you go to dinner and you buy, say, a $20 movie ticket, then you go to a $50 dinner, right? $70. You've received $70 worth of goods in return. If you go and you gamble that same $70, the casino is incentivized to take all of it from you, but offer you the idea that you have a chance of making more than that. When you're playing a zero sum game, you're open to being targeted, manipulated, lied to. And it's a situation where they only win when you lose. It's not creating economic value. It's not creating a good time for you. It's putting you in a situation where you have to be the loser in the long run. So I think that these channels know that it's not that simple, but they want you to believe it is because they make money when you lose it. Thoughts?
No, I mean, that was perfectly said. The only thing I'll say about those YouTube channels is that um, those YouTube channels, for someone who is struggling with gambling to watch that channel, I mean, it's fucking criminal. I mean, it's literally like an alcoholic watching a video on YouTube of like people pretending to be drunk and doing fun things while they're drunk, right?
Yeah,
That's why, like, when you see like reality TV and like they're showing drinking and stuff, it's not detrimental because it's reality TV and everyone gets fucked up and they act stupid. But some of those YouTube channels, not some, most of them, it's fake. It's not real. It's not their money,
right.
So it's yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Well, I think that we're probably going to be close to wrapping it up here soon. To someone that's not yet subscribed to your channel, give me the pitch. Why should someone subscribe to the Modern Meeting? What can they expect to experience as a result of subscribing?
You're putting a lot of pressure on me. So first of all, the YouTube channel, we're working on it. I mean, I'm not, Rob's the king of YouTube right now. I got our boy Felix trying to help me out. But the thing with me and the modern meeting is that you're gonna get honesty and you're gonna get raw, brutal. Sometimes, if you go back to the earlier episodes, it's a little rough around the edges. Not so much technically, but like some of the stuff we said. But at the end of the day, for me, like when I was listening to podcasts, like, and I heard a story that made my toes curl, but it's something that I also did that gave me so much that power of connection, right? That's what it gave me, and I think that's what at the modern meeting, that's what you're gonna get is you're gonna hear stuff. You're gonna be driving your car and you're gonna be nodding, a lot of nodding. I hear a lot of nodding from people, and we try to keep it light, you know, throw a little humor in there. And specifically with the YouTube channel, I got a lot of good stuff in the works. I have some footage from my iPhone of me actively gambling, and I videotaped it. Like we're gonna do some stuff with that, so that's coming down the pipe. Um, but yeah, give us a chance. Check it out.
Yeah. Well, to anyone that's watching, if you want to check out Adam's page, it's in the description of this video. So if you just scroll down a little bit, I guess description on the phone, just come out of full screen and then click on it. It's just under the screen. You'll see it. I'm trying to figure out like how to explain it without just literally showing someone on the phone. But we had a lot of great questions tonight. Thank you to everyone that's been in the chat, that's left a like, that's subscribed, that's also left a question. And I'm sorry if we didn't get to everything. Feel free to drop it as a comment on a recent video. I'm going to do my best to get back to you. Adam, anything else for the people before we wrap up?
Yeah, no, I mean, anyone who wants to reach out, anyone who wants to, modernmeetingpod@gmail.com, if you want to check that out. And yeah, just once again, modern meeting on Zoom, 8 p.m. Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday. If you check out the modern meeting Instagram, the Zoom info is right on it's a pinned Instagram post right on the Instagram. Give the Instagram a follow. Anyone who wants to come, you can go on the Zoom. You can be, no screen, say just listening if you want to just listen. But we would love to have you. More the merrier.
Perfect. Well, to everyone that's been watching, once again, appreciate it. And in the end screen here, once it's processed, I'm going to link a video to Adam's interview here on the channel. So make sure that you check that out next, and let's keep getting better together. One day.